There are stories buried beneath the surface of what we call history stories that never reach the light of day, stories that powerful hands went to extraordinary lengths to erase. Imagine a world where knowledge itself is treated like a dangerous substance, a world where certain books could ignite revolutions of thought, alter the course of civilization, or challenge the very foundations of belief. These were not mere collections of paper and ink, they were vessels of forbidden truths, coded messages from the past that whisper to us across the centuries, if only we dare to listen. And yet most of these whispers have been silenced, torn from shelves, burned in bonfires, hidden behind locked doors, or deliberately left to crumble in dust-filled archive. From the earliest civilizations, humanity has understood the power contained within the written word. To record a thought was to wield influence over memory, over culture, over society itself. In the temples of Sumer, scribes etched symbols into clay. Tablets, some mundane, some mystical, some so dangerous that only a select few could even comprehend them. In the grand libraries of Alexandria, scrolls from distant lands detailing knowledge from forgotten empires were amassed only to vanish in the flames of conquest and neglect. What secrets were lost in those fires? Perhaps knowledge of technologies far beyond their time, perhaps revelations about the cosmos, or truths about the nature of life itself. We may never know, because history is not merely written, it is curated through time. The pattern repeats. Certain ideas, certain books have been deemed too powerful, too subversive, or too heretical for the public. Empires, kingdoms, and religious authorities have all sought to control thought by controlling access to knowledge. When a book threatens the prevailing order, when a thought challenges dogma, it is no longer a harmless collection of words. It becomes a threat, and threats in every age have been met with force. Entire libraries have been erased, volumes burned in ceremonies of purification, and scholars silenced for daring to preserve them. Yet some texts survived, some hid in shadows, passed from hand to hand, copied in secret, concealed in plain sight under the guise of innocuous works. These texts, these hidden relics, form the skeleton of forbidden knowledge, the spine of a history that was never meant to be told. The notion of forbidden books is not merely the stuff of legends or romantic imagination. It is woven into the fabric of human history. There are gospels that the church deemed heretical, teachings that threaten to unravel accepted truths about divinity and creation. There are grimoires that promise to reveal secrets of nature and the human spirit, whispered knowledge of alchemy, magic, and the manipulation of hidden forces. There are manuscripts that, if understood, might have revealed the rise and fall of civilizations, the hidden patterns guiding human destiny, or even the existence of powers beyond ordinary perception. In every era, some individuals understood that ideas themselves could be revolutionary, and that knowledge could be a form of rebellion. Consider the Voynich manuscript, a work of intricate illustration and mysterious script that has confounded scholars for centuries. Its pages suggest a knowledge that was deliberately encoded, hidden in plain sight, perhaps to protect the reader, perhaps to protect the writer from a world not yet ready for its truths, or the Gnostic gospel suppressed for centuries, which offered radically different interpretations of existence and divinity, challenging the orthodoxy that would dominate for millennia. These are not mere curiosities. They are reminders that history is layered, that what survives in public memory is often only a fraction of what once existed. As we begin this journey, imagine opening a book that has been long forbidden, feeling the texture of its aged pages, sensing the weight of ideas that those in power once feared. Picture the scholars, scribes, and seekers who risked everything to preserve it, hiding it in plain sight or concealing it in shadowed archives. Each text carries with it a story, not just of its content, but of survival, of secrecy, of resistance. And through these whispers of the past, we start to glimpse the outlines of a hidden history, one that challenges what we have been taught, one that hints at truths too vast, too dangerous, or too profound to be revealed openly. This is the threshold of forbidden knowledge, where Curiosity meets caution, where mystery converges with history and where the faintest echoes of lost wisdom call out to us. As we turn the pages of these hidden works, as we retrace the steps of those who once held this knowledge, we enter a world that is at once familiar and uncanny, a world where every erased text, every secret scroll, and every suppressed manuscript is a puzzle piece, a clue to a history that has been deliberately obscured. And in listening carefully, in reading between the lines, we may come closer than anyone in centuries to understanding the truths that some have tried to erase from existence itself. Throughout history, the written word has always carried more power than we often give it credit for. From the moment humans first began to scratch symbols on a clay tablets, the act of recording thoughts, ideas, and events became a tool not just for preservation, but for control. The earliest forms of writing were not just means of communication, they were mechanisms of power. They helped shape laws, organize societies, recorded victories and defeats, and often dictated the very way people thought about the world around them. Writing, in its essence, could be as dangerous as it was illuminating. It had the ability to preserve the status quo, but also the potential to unravel it. Think for a moment about the ancient Sumerians, whose cuneiform script etched into clay tablets set the foundation for human civilization. It was the written word that enabled the rulers of the time to consolidate power, to dictate laws, and to secure their legacy. But it was also the written word that in many cases could spread ideas beyond the reach of the rulers who sought to control them. Every kingdom, every empire understood this delicate balance. The act of writing down knowledge was both an assertion of power and a potential threat to the very fabric of that power. What if a certain piece of knowledge, a certain book, could awaken the minds of the masses? What if a single idea could topple a throne or challenge the sacred truths that an entire society had built its existence upon? It was a terrifying thought to those in charge. As civilizations advanced, so did the understanding of how crucial the written word was. In ancient Egypt, the priests and scribes were the keepers of knowledge, controlling access to the sacred texts of the gods. The pharaohs understood the power of writing and literature, using it to reinforce their divine rule, to ensure that their legacy would be immortalized. But just as with the Sumerians, there were always those who saw writing as a tool for something else, something revolutionary. The ancient Egyptians, for instance, had an entire system of esoteric texts that were reserved only for the initiated, a knowledge of hidden truths that was kept from the public. These were the teachings that hinted at a deeper, more mystical understanding of the universe, far removed from the politically charged edicts of the pharaohs. And yet much of this knowledge has been lost, possibly deliberately, because it was too dangerous to share with the masses. The same pattern plays out in every culture. Throughout history, the written word has often been a double-edged sword, a means of control, but also a vessel for subversion. In ancient Greece, philosophers like Plato and Aristotle wrote, extensively shaping the foundations of Western thought. But even in their time, ideas were being suppressed. Philosophers like Heraclitus, whose writings on change and the flux of reality conflicted with more accepted philosophies, were censored and erased from mainstream thought. In China, the first emperor Qin Shi Huang famously ordered the burning of all books that did not align with his legalist ideals, even burying scholars alive who dared to defy him. The desire to control knowledge and, by extension, the minds of the people was central to the consolidation of power in nearly every society. As time moved forward, the medieval period saw the emergence of the church as one of the most powerful institutions in the Western world. The church understood better than anyone the importance of controlling access to knowledge. The Bible, a book that was once available to a small number of priests and scholars, became the cornerstone of spiritual and political authority. But there were other texts, other gospels, other stories that challenged the church's grip on spiritual truth. The Gnostic Gospels, for example, were considered heretical by the church. These texts presented a radically different understanding of Jesus and his teachings, one that emphasized personal experience and enlightenment over doctrine and Obedience to the church did not tolerate these texts. They were suppressed, destroyed, and buried in the sands of time. Fast forward to the Renaissance of time, when the written word underwent a resurgence. But once again, as knowledge began to spread, so did the fear of what might happen if that knowledge fell into the wrong hands. The printing press, which made books more accessible than ever before, was both a gift and a curse. It allowed new ideas to circulate more rapidly, but it also posed a grave threat to the established authorities. Martin Luther's 95 Theses, which challenged the authority of the Catholic Church, was just one example of how the written word could provoke profound shifts in society. The Reformation was fueled by the spread of ideas that were seen as dangerous, ideas that threatened the very structure of the Church, and by extension, the structure of society itself. In the world of science, too, the written word could be both a savior and a destroyer. The works of Galileo and Copernicus, which proposed a heliocentric model of the universe, were met with vehement resistance from the church. These texts, which challenged the earth-centered view of the cosmos, were banned, and their authors persecuted. The idea that the earth was not the center of the universe was at the time seen as a direct challenge to the authority of the church and its teachings, and yet these works did not disappear. They survived, and in doing so they sparked the scientific revolution, reshaping humanity's understanding of the universe. Even today, the concept of forbidden books continues to resonate. In modern times, we see new forms of censorship, new attempts to suppress ideas that challenge the dominant narrative, from governments controlling the flow of information to corporations regulating the digital space. The battle for control over knowledge is far from over. And yet, despite these efforts, forbidden texts still surface. Hidden manuscripts, long-forgotten books, and censored works continue to find their way into the hands of those willing to search for them. The thirst for forbidden knowledge has never been fully quenched, and it is in the shadows of these books that the mysteries of our past and our future may lie. The written word in all its forms remains one of the most powerful tools humanity possesses. It has the ability to uplift and destroy, to inform and to manipulate, to inspire and to oppress. The books that have been hidden, suppressed, or erased throughout history are not just relics of a forgotten past. They are the echoes of a struggle for control over human consciousness itself. And as we uncover these lost texts, we begin to glimpse a world of knowledge that has been intentionally kept from us, a world where the true story of human history might be far more complex and mysterious than we ever imagined. In the distant past, before the modern world emerged with its sprawling libraries and digital archives, the preservation of knowledge was a sacred and often perilous task. There was a time when entire civilizations were built upon the accumulation of secret, hidden wisdom, much of which has been lost to the ravages of time. But what if we told you that some of the most important knowledge of antiquity did not disappear? It was deliberately hidden away, concealed from the eyes of the public, and preserved only in fragments that we can still glimpse today. There are whispers in the corners of history about texts that were lost in time, texts that contained not only powerful knowledge, but also dangerous truths that threatened the very foundations of the world. As it was known, the Library of Alexandria, once the greatest repository of knowledge in the ancient world, stands as a symbol of what could have been. It is said that this magnificent institution contained hundreds of thousands of scrolls and manuscripts, many of which were written by the most brilliant minds of the ancient world. But what of the works that were housed there, works that are now lost to history? Some suggest that these texts contain knowledge about ancient technologies, philosophies, and sciences that were far more advanced than what we currently know. There are even theories that some of the lost texts contained accounts of ancient civilization societies that predated even the Egyptian societies, with knowledge and wisdom that could have altered the course of human history. But what happened to those texts? The fire that ravaged the Library of Alexandria in 48 BC, one of the most tragic events in the history of knowledge, has long been blamed for their loss. Yet some historians and conspiracy theorists suggest that the destruction of the library was not merely an accident, but a calculated attempt to erase knowledge deemed too dangerous to be shared after all in a time when kingdoms and empires fought for. Dominance knowledge itself was a form of power, and those who controlled knowledge controlled the future. There are also rumors of hidden archives, secret libraries, tucked away in obscure corners of the world, where forbidden knowledge was safeguarded by those who understood its significance. In the remote hills of Tibet, for example, there are legends of a hidden library that contains ancient texts known only to a select few. These manuscripts are said to contain knowledge of spiritual practices, astrology, and esoteric teachings passed down through generations, carefully guarded by the monks who have sworn to protect them from outsiders. Some believe these texts could offer insights into the true nature of reality, the human soul, and even extraterrestrial life. But whether these libraries even exist remains a matter of debate. Another compelling example comes from the ancient world of Mesopotamia, where the Sumerians and later the Babylonians created some of the earliest written records known to mankind. Among these early texts were accounts of a lost civilization, one that existed long before the Sumerians themselves. The Sumerians referred to this ancient race as the Anunnaki. In their mythologies, tell stories of gods who descended from the heavens and imparted advanced knowledge to humanity. Some researchers suggest that these ancient texts contain the secrets of lost technologies that could have allowed these gods to travel between worlds, manipulate energy, and even shape the course of human evolution. Yet despite these tantalizing accounts, much of the evidence remains fragmentary, scattered, and cryptic. The ancient texts of the Sumerians, the Babylonians, and the Egyptians are often incomplete or encoded in ways that modern scholars struggle to decipher. In some cases, these texts are written in languages that have not been fully translated, adding to the mystique and the allure of the forbidden knowledge they contain. The pursuit of understanding these ancient manuscripts is not merely an academic exercise. It is a quest for something far deeper, a search for truths that, if unlocked, could shatter our understanding of history, science, and our place in the cosmos. The mystery of the lost texts is not confined to the ancient past and the medieval period. There were also books that fell into obscurity, books that were hidden away by those who feared their contents. The works of the Gnostics, for example, were considered heretical by the early Christian church. These texts, which included gospels that told a radically different story of Jesus and his teachings, were buried for centuries, hidden from public view by those who wanted to preserve the orthodox narrative of Christianity. It wasn't until the 20th century that many of these Gnostic texts were rediscovered in the Egyptian desert, revealing a radically different view of spirituality and the nature of existence. But the suppression of knowledge was not always carried out by religious institutions alone. During the Renaissance, a period of intellectual awakening and rediscovery, many classical texts were uncovered works by philosophers, mathematicians, and scientists from the ancient world. However, not all texts were embraced. Some works, especially those that delved into alchemy, astrology, and the occult, were viewed with suspicion and fear. The Catholic Church, which still held considerable power at the time, sought to suppress any ideas that might challenge its authority. Books that explored the mystical and hidden aspects of the universe were often destroyed or hidden away in secret archives where only a few could access them. These hidden manuscripts, tucked away in the shadowy corners of history, are not just relics of a forgotten past. They are clues to a greater mystery, one that spans cultures and millennia. What were these texts trying to tell us? Why were they suppressed? And what truths might they contain that could challenge the very way we understand our world today? The journey to uncover these lost books is not just an academic pursuit. It is a journey into the heart of human curiosity, the search for answers to questions that have plagued us for centuries. Who were the ancient civilizations that wrote these texts? What did they know that we have forgotten? And perhaps most importantly, what truths about the nature of the universe and our place within it might still be waiting to be discovered, hidden in the pages of these forbidden books, as we continue to explore the lost libraries and manuscripts of ancient civilizations, we uncover not just a history of knowledge, but a history of human ambition, secrecy, and a relentless pursuit of truth. And though many of these texts may be lost forever, their legacy endures, whispering from the past, urging us to continue the search for the knowledge that was hidden, the knowledge that could change everything. As we venture further into the mysteries of lost knowledge, one thing becomes glaringly clear: the deliberate suppression of forbidden books and manuscripts did not end with the fall of ancient civilizations. In fact, throughout history, the act of concealing powerful knowledge continued to be a key tool of control and manipulation, one that transcended time, geography, and culture. But what does it say about the nature of power when those in control deem knowledge itself a threat, when books become more than just collections of words and ideas, when they become the very instruments of social upheaval, spiritual awakening, and philosophical revolution? We begin to understand why so many texts were hidden from public view, erased, or destroyed. One of the most intriguing aspects of this long history of censorship is the phenomenon of heretical text works that challenge the dominant religious, political, and philosophical ideologies of their time. Take, for example, the vast library of Gnostic writings that flourished during the early centuries of the Christian era. These texts, often dismissed by mainstream Christianity as heretical, presented a radically different interpretation of Christian teachings. They emphasized personal spiritual enlightenment and inner knowledge, placing less importance on the external rituals and dogmas of the church. The Gnostics believed that salvation came not from faith alone, but from direct personal knowledge of the divine, a truth that could be attained by an awakened individual. In many ways, these ideas were considered blasphemous by the early church, and as a result, the Gnostic texts were deliberately hidden or destroyed. The destruction of Gnostic manuscripts is a pivotal example of how the suppression of knowledge was intertwined with the rise of institutionalized power. The early Christian church, in its pursuit of orthodoxy, recognized the threat posed by these alternative spiritual teachings and took immediate action to erase them from history for centuries. These texts vanished, lost to the sands of time, leaving only fragmented references in the writings of church fathers and early Christian scholars. It wasn't until the 20th century, in a remote cave in Egypt, that the Nag Hammadi Library, an extraordinary collection of Gnostic texts, was discovered, offering a glimpse into a forgotten spiritual tradition. These texts challenged not only the official teachings of the church, but also our understanding of early Christian thought. And yet, despite their rediscovery, the Gnostic Gospels have never fully entered the mainstream. Their radical ideas about the nature of divinity and the universe continue to be marginalized and dismissed, a testament to how deeply rooted the suppression of knowledge remains in our world. The Gnostic texts are just one example of how knowledge has been hidden away, but they offer a profound insight into a pattern that repeats itself throughout history: the deliberate erasure of inconvenient truths from religious heresies to scientific revelations, from forbidden prophecies to the occult. There have always been those in power who saw certain ideas as dangerous and worked tirelessly to bury them. One of the most dramatic instances of this pattern occurred during the Middle Ages, a period marked by profound religious control over European society. During this time, the Catholic Church not only sought to suppress heretical texts, but also actively pursued individuals who sought to challenge its authority. One of the most famous victims of this crusade against knowledge was the Italian philosopher and scientist Giordano Bruno, a man ahead of his time. Bruno's work on cosmology, the nature of the universe, and the possibility of multiple worlds was considered heretical by the Church. Bruno's ideas about an infinite universe and the plurality of worlds directly contradicted the geocentric model of the cosmos that was endorsed by the Church, which held that Earth was the center of the universe. Bruno's beliefs were so dangerous to the ecclesiastical establishment that he was eventually arrested, tried for heresy, and burned at the stake in 1600. But Bruno's death was not in vain. His ideas, though suppressed and silenced, lived on. The scientific revolution that followed in the centuries to come was in many ways a direct response to the Church's attempts to stifle knowledge. Copernicus, Galileo, Kepler, and later Newton all challenged the Church's authority by developing ideas that contradicted the established worldview, and while these scientific pioneers were not without their own struggles, Galileo, for instance, was forced to recant his support for the heliocentric model of the universe. They ultimately paved the way for a revolution in human thought. Their work would forever change the course of history, even though many of them had to contend with the heavy weight of institutional censorship and religious dogma. It wasn't just religious authorities that sought to suppress dangerous ideas. Political regimes have also engaged in similar practices throughout history. The burning of books, for example, was a common tactic used by totalitarian governments to control the flow of information and maintain their power. The infamous book burnings carried out by the Nazi regime in 1933 are some of the most well-known examples of this kind of censorship. Thousands of books by Jewish communist and liberal authors were burned in public ceremonies, signaling the regime's determination to control intellectual life. The Nazis recognized that ideas could be as dangerous as bullets, and by eliminating books that contradicted their ideology, they sought to eliminate any potential challenges to their authority. Even in more recent times, governments have sought to control knowledge through censorship, surveillance, and propaganda. The rise of the internet has led to new methods of controlling the spread of information. In some countries, entire websites are blocked and books and articles are removed from digital libraries. The rise of misinformation and fake news has also become a tool of political manipulation, where the suppression of certain narratives and the promotion of others can drastically shape public opinion. But no matter how hard those in power try to control the flow of information, there is always the possibility that forbidden knowledge will slip through the cracks, emerging in unexpected places. In the digital age, the internet has become a haven for those who seek out the suppressed, the hidden, the forbidden. Online forums, archives, and communities dedicated to the pursuit of lost knowledge continue to grow as people seek out books, documents, and ideas that have been marginalized or erased. These digital spaces have become the new battleground for the fight over knowledge, where individuals and groups challenge the official narratives and uncover truths that some would rather keep hidden. In the end, the story of forbidden books is not just the story of texts that were burned, hidden, or erased. It is a story of resistance. It is a story of people who dared to ask questions, to seek out knowledge that others wanted to suppress. And while many of these books remain elusive, their influence continues to echo throughout history. The forbidden knowledge that once threatened empires, religions, and governments still holds the potential to transform our understanding of the world. As we continue to search for these lost texts, we may yet uncover ideas that have the power to change the course of human history once again. As we continue our exploration of forbidden knowledge, we find that the story of suppressed books is not confined to the distant past. In fact, the battle over information and control of knowledge has been a constant thread running through the fabric of history, reaching all the way into the modern era. What is most striking, however, is the way in which certain ideas, concepts, and discoveries that have been hidden, censored, or deliberately erased still manage to surface, often in the most unexpected of places. These re-emerging ideas carry with them the potential to challenge the very way we view the world. For every book that was burned, for every manuscript hidden away, there is always the possibility that the knowledge contained within it will find a way to reach the light once again. Take, for example, the phenomenon of lost and rediscovered texts in the modern era. While the destruction of ancient libraries and archives in centuries past was often an irreversible tragedy, the 20th and 21st centuries have seen remarkable advances in archaeology, scholarship, and technology that have made it possible to recover many of these forbidden works. The Nag Hammadi scriptures, rediscovered in 1945 in Egypt, are one such case. These texts, as we know, contain radical reinterpretations of Christianity views that were suppressed by the early church for their heretical content. Among the most significant Discoveries was the Gospel of Thomas, a text that presents sayings attributed to Jesus, but without the traditional narrative framework found in the New Testament. This gospel challenges much of what has been considered Orthodox Christian doctrine, presenting a version of Jesus as a teacher of wisdom and enlightenment, rather than a figure of sacrifice and redemption. The rediscovery of the Gospel of Thomas was a revelation not only for religious scholars, but also for anyone interested in the hidden layers of history. Even beyond religious texts, there are examples of books and manuscripts that have resurfaced despite years, sometimes centuries of suppression. One such case involves the famous Voynich manuscript, a book filled with mysterious illustrations and written in an unknown script that has baffled scholars for over 500 years. The origins of the manuscript remain a mystery, but its very existence suggests a history of secrecy, one that spans across time and cultures, though the book has yet to be fully deciphered. Its persistence is a testament to the enduring power of the unknown. Why was this book created, and why has it been hidden from the public for so long? The Voynich manuscript is more than just an enigma. It is a symbol of the ongoing search for knowledge that transcends time and place. The mystery of the Voynich manuscript leads us to another compelling facet of this ongoing struggle for forbidden knowledge: the role of secret societies and underground networks. Throughout history, there have been groups dedicated to preserving and passing on knowledge that was considered too dangerous or controversial to be made public. These secret societies, such as the Freemasons, the Rosicrucians, and various occult orders, have often been linked to the preservation of forbidden texts and hidden teachings. Some even believe that these societies hold the keys to knowledge that has been kept from the general public for centuries, knowledge that could challenge established paradigms and reveal hidden truths about human nature, the universe, and the very foundations of reality. One such example of this hidden knowledge involves the so-called Hermetic texts, which date back to the ancient world and were associated with the mystical teachings of Hermes Trismegistus, a legendary figure believed to be a synthesis of the Greek god Hermes and the Egyptian god Thoth. These Hermetic writings are filled with arcane wisdom, offering teachings on alchemy, astrology, and the mystical connections between humanity and the cosmos. The influence of Hermeticism can be seen in many esoteric traditions throughout history, from the Renaissance to the modern-day New Age movement. However, despite their importance, many of these texts were kept secret or hidden by those who fear their power. The teachings of the Hermetic tradition, like so many other mystical systems, were often viewed with suspicion by both religious and political authorities, who feared that the knowledge contained within these writings might inspire rebellion, challenge the social order, or reveal forbidden truths about the nature of existence. The fact that so many of these esoteric texts have survived either in hidden libraries or in the secret archives of occult societies suggests that there is a powerful force at work, one that has sought to keep certain knowledge out of the hands of the masses. But why is there this ongoing effort to suppress certain ideas, certain teachings, and certain books? One of the most compelling answers lies in the nature of the knowledge itself. Forbidden books often contain truths that challenge the very structure of society, religion, and science. As we know it, these books offer alternate worldviews, new ways of thinking, and radical ideas that threaten the established order. Take, for instance, the works of Sir Isaac Newton. While he is best known for his contributions to physics and mathematics, Newton was also deeply involved in the study of alchemy and the occult. In fact, Newton wrote extensively on these subjects, producing manuscripts that were not meant for public consumption. He believed that hidden mystical truths lay behind the physical laws of the universe, and his exploration of alchemy was part of a broader quest to uncover the secrets of creation itself. These works, however, were deliberately kept from public view during his lifetime and for centuries afterward. It wasn't until the 20th century that some of Newton's more esoteric writings began to be published, revealing a side of the man that was far more complex and mysterious than the public persona of the rational scientist. Newton's alchemical works, along with other mystical texts of the time, reflect a recurring theme throughout History, the desire to understand the hidden forces that shape the universe. These forces are often seen as too dangerous or too unsettling for mainstream society, which prefers to keep such knowledge under wraps. The alchemists, mystics, and philosophers who sought to uncover these secrets were frequently viewed as radicals or heretics, their ideas dismissed as fanciful or absurd, and yet time and again we find that these forbidden teachings contain insights that modern science is only beginning to understand. Consider, for example, the rise of quantum mechanics in the 20th century. Many of the principles of quantum theory, such as the idea that observation affects the observed or the concept of entanglement, resemble concepts that were explored by mystics and esoteric philosophers long before modern scientists discovered them. The parallels between ancient mystical traditions and modern physics suggest that there may be a deeper connection between the two, one that was hidden away for centuries, perhaps deliberately so, until we were ready to understand it. In this way, the search for forbidden knowledge is not just about uncovering lost manuscripts or deciphering ancient texts. It is about seeking a deeper understanding of the universe, one that transcends the limits of conventional knowledge and challenges our very perception of reality. The forbidden books that have been hidden, suppressed, or destroyed throughout history hold the keys to this understanding. They offer us glimpses into the mysteries of the universe, into the nature of existence, and into the untapped potential of the human mind. And as long as these books continue to resurface, we are reminded that the pursuit of knowledge is never truly over. There will always be hidden truths waiting to be uncovered, challenging us to expand our consciousness and reshape our understanding of the world. The more we uncover about the hidden, forgotten, or deliberately suppressed knowledge of the past, the clearer it becomes that this knowledge isn't simply about the distant history of ancient civilizations or the secretive practices of medieval scholars. No, the true significance of these forbidden texts and hidden books lies in their potential to change the way we think about the present and the future. What if these long-lost manuscripts contain keys not just to understanding the past, but to unlocking the mysteries of the modern world? What if some of the esoteric and occult knowledge that was buried for centuries has a relevance that transcends time, offering insights into the challenges we face today? One of the most fascinating aspects of the forbidden knowledge narrative is the way in which these texts appear to cross boundaries, connecting seemingly unrelated traditions, cultures, and fields of study, from the ancient Egyptians to the alchemists of the Renaissance, from Gnosticism to modern quantum physics. The same themes keep emerging: the search for hidden truths, the exploration of the mystical and unknown, and the understanding that reality as we perceive it may be far more complex and mysterious than we can imagine. And perhaps just as importantly, these ancient texts seem to suggest that humanity is capable of far more than we've been led to believe. They hint at a deeper, more profound understanding of the universe, one that has been systematically hidden or suppressed by those who seek to control knowledge for their own purposes. Consider the ancient Egyptian texts that speak of the mysteries or secret teachings for millennia. The priests of Egypt guarded these sacred teachings, which were said to contain knowledge of the cosmos, the afterlife, and the very structure of reality itself. The knowledge contained in these texts was so powerful, it was reserved only for the most initiated, those who were considered worthy to understand its deep hidden meanings. The Egyptians were master builders, engineers, and astronomers, and it is believed that much of their knowledge was encoded in the construction of their monumental temples and pyramids. The Great Pyramid of Giza, for example, is thought to be not only a tomb, but also a vast repository of sacred knowledge encoded in its dimensions, its alignment with the stars, and the intricate geometry of its design. What if this knowledge, once available only to a select few, holds the key to understanding the mysteries of energy, consciousness, and the very nature of existence itself? One of the more tantalizing theories about these mysteries is that they were passed down through secret Societies, fraternal orders like the Freemasons, the Rosicrucians, and other esoteric organizations who sought to preserve this ancient wisdom, these groups, operating under layers of secrecy, were believed to be the custodians of knowledge that had been lost or suppressed by mainstream society. But why the secrecy? Why were these ancient teachings kept hidden even from those who might benefit most from them? The answer, as many have suggested, lies in the transformative nature of this knowledge. It wasn't just about acquiring information, it was about acquiring power. The wisdom contained in the ancient texts, if properly understood and applied, could alter human consciousness, provide access to hidden energies, and offer a deeper connection to the spiritual and material worlds. And that perhaps is why those in power sought to control it. It's in this context that we begin to see the connection between ancient esoteric traditions and modern-day discoveries that seem to echo their teachings. Quantum physics, for instance, has begun to reveal truths about the nature of reality that are eerily similar to those found in ancient mystical traditions. Concepts like entanglement, wave-particle duality, and the idea that consciousness can influence matter are all present in some form in the sacred teachings of the past. The ancient Egyptians, the Greeks, the Sumerians saw these civilizations spoke of a hidden underlying unity in the cosmos, a force that connects all things in their eyes. This was the divine, or the cosmic intelligence, a force that could be accessed through the mind, through ritual, or through enlightenment. Modern physics, especially in the realm of quantum mechanics, is beginning to validate these ancient ideas, though in a language that is far more technical. Quantum theory suggests that at the subatomic level, the universe is far more interconnected and fluid than we ever imagined. Particles can exist in multiple states at once, and they can affect one another instantaneously across vast distances, a phenomenon that Albert Einstein famously called spooky action at a distance. These discoveries, while groundbreaking in the scientific community, seem almost like a confirmation of what ancient mystics have been saying for millennia, that the universe is not as solid and fixed as we think, and that the human mind is intricately tied to the very fabric of reality itself. Could it be that the ancient texts, which so many have sought to hide, were pointing to this very understanding all along? Could the secrets they contain, whether in the form of Egyptian scrolls, Sumerian tablets, or Gnostic gospels, be offering us a roadmap to unlock the full potential of human consciousness and our place in the cosmos? The implications are profound, suggesting that the wisdom of the past was not just for the scholars of ancient times, but for us here and now, as we stand on the precipice of a new era of scientific discovery and spiritual awakening. Take, for example, the teachings of the ancient alchemists. While they are often portrayed as mystical charlatans seeking to turn lead into gold, many alchemical texts contain hidden insights into the nature of energy transformation and consciousness. Alchemy was not just a physical science, it was a spiritual one. The transmutation of base metals into gold was seen as a metaphor for the transformation of the human soul, a process of enlightenment and ascension. The alchemists believed that through certain rituals and practices they could unlock hidden powers within the human mind and body. In many ways, alchemy was an attempt to understand the very forces that govern the universe and to harness those forces for personal and spiritual transformation. In the modern world, we are beginning to see a resurgence of interest in the mystical and esoteric practices of the past, particularly as more people become disillusioned with conventional systems of belief and understanding. The rise of interest in meditation, energy healing, and alternative spiritual practices suggests that many are beginning to feel the need for a deeper connection to something greater than themselves. This desire for spiritual knowledge and awakening mirrors the same search that ancient civilizations undertook when they first sought to unlock the mysteries of existence. So, in a sense, the forbidden knowledge that has been passed down through the ages may not be as lost as we might think. It may simply be waiting for us to be ready to understand at the ancient texts, the hidden teachings, the suppressed books. They are all part of a greater cosmic puzzle, one that we are slowly beginning to put together. And as we continue to uncover these fragments of wisdom, We are not just learning about the past, we are discovering something far more important: the keys to our own transformation. The question remains, however, will we be able to unlock this knowledge before it is once again buried, or will the forces that seek to suppress it continue their centuries-old campaign of silence and control us? The secrets of the ancient world continue to be uncovered. It's clear that we are standing at a crossroads where the path we choose could change everything, not just for us, but for all of humanity. As we continue to peel back the layers of history and explore the hidden realms of knowledge, we begin to realize that the suppression of certain books, ideas, and discoveries is not merely a product of ancient fears or superstitions. Instead, it is often tied to power, specifically the control of knowledge. Throughout history, the manipulation and restriction of information have been used as tools by those in power to maintain control over the masses, from the Inquisition's burning of heretical texts to the destruction of libraries in antiquity. There has been a consistent pattern of keeping knowledge locked away from the public, but the questions must be asked: why was such knowledge deemed so dangerous? What was so threatening about these forbidden ideas that they had to be erased, concealed, or silenced? One of the most striking examples of this is the long and tumultuous history of the Bible itself. While the Bible is widely considered to be the most important and influential religious text in the Western world, the story of how it came to be compiled, translated, and canonized is fraught with intrigue, secrecy, and controversy. Throughout the early centuries of Christianity, there was no single universally accepted version of the Bible. In fact, there were many different Gospels, letters, and writings circulating within the early Christian community, each offering a different perspective on the life and teachings of Jesus Christ. Some of these writings were considered heretical by early church leaders, while others were seen as apocryphal, neither part of the canonical scriptures nor entirely illegitimate. Yet many of these so-called forbidden texts contained profound teachings and perspectives that were deliberately excluded from the New Testament. Take, for example, the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. This text, discovered in the 19th century as part of the Nag Hammadi library in Egypt, presents a radically different view of the relationship between Jesus and Mary Magdalene than what is found in the canonical Gospels. In this Gospel, Mary is portrayed not just as a close follower of Jesus, but as one of his most enlightened disciples. She is depicted as a woman who possesses special knowledge, wisdom, and insight, traits that were reserved for male disciples. In the Orthodox tradition, the Gospel of Mary suggests that Mary Magdalene had a deeper understanding of the spiritual teachings of Jesus, perhaps even surpassing that of the male apostles. This radical reinterpretation of Mary's role in early Christianity was viewed as a direct threat to the established religious order, and was likely one of the reasons why the Gospel was excluded from the New Testament canon. The Gospel of Thomas is another example of a forbidden text that was suppressed by early Christian authorities. Unlike the Synoptic Gospels, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, the Gospel of Thomas contains no narrative of Jesus' life or death. Instead, it is a collection of sayings attributed to Jesus, many of which are highly esoteric and suggest that enlightenment comes from within through self-discovery, knowledge, and direct experience. The teachings in the Gospel of Thomas are strikingly similar to those found in other mystical traditions, such as Gnosticism, Hermeticism, and the ancient mystery schools. The ideas presented in this Gospel were deeply at odds with the theological doctrines that later became central to Orthodox Christianity, especially the emphasis on salvation through faith, repentance, and the vicarious atonement of Jesus. For this reason, the Gospel of Thomas was excluded from a New Testament, buried in the sands of time until its rediscovery in 1945. The suppression of texts like the Gospel of Mary and the Gospel of Thomas raises important questions about the role of religious authorities in shaping the narrative of history. What if the early church had allowed these texts to be included in the Bible? How would our understanding of early Christianity and of Jesus himself have been altered? Would Christianity be the same? today, or would it have taken a radically different course? The fact that these texts were excluded from the official canon suggests that they were considered too dangerous for the broader public, too subversive to the established order of church and state. They represented ideas that challenged the authority of the church and threatened the religious and political control it wielded over society. Yet the deliberate suppression of these texts did not erase their impact in the centuries following. Their exclusion from the Bible, these forbidden gospels continued to circulate in secret, passed along by dissidents, mystics, and esoteric thinkers. Many of the ideas found in these texts became the foundation for alternative spiritual movements, such as Gnosticism, which flourished in the early centuries of the Common Era. Gnosticism, with its emphasis on direct personal knowledge of the divine, was anathema to the growing orthodoxy of the church. Gnostic texts, such as the Gospel of Judas, the Gospel of Truth, and the Gospel of the Egyptians, offered radically different interpretations of Christian teachings, often portraying the material world as a prison for the soul and the path to salvation as one of inner knowledge and enlightenment. The fact that these texts were suppressed speaks volumes about the power of knowledge and the lengths to which those in power will go to prevent the masses from accessing it. The destruction and suppression of these texts was not just about protecting religious doctrine, it was about controlling the flow of ideas, about maintaining a monopoly on spiritual and intellectual authority. And this battle over knowledge didn't end in the ancient world. In fact, it continues to this day, even in the modern era. The fight over knowledge remains a central theme. Governments, corporations, and other institutions continue to control the flow of information, shaping public perception and guiding the narrative in ways that often obscure the truth. The digital age, for all its promises of transparency and access to knowledge, has introduced new ways of controlling information. While the internet offers vast amounts of data and knowledge, it also provides new tools for censorship, manipulation, and surveillance. The algorithms that determine what we see and read are often designed to serve particular political, commercial, or ideological agendas, shaping our understanding of the world in subtle but profound ways. The recent phenomenon of fake news and the growing mistrust of mainstream media have further complicated the issue of knowledge and truth in a world where information can be easily manipulated, twisted, and distorted. How can we be sure what is real and what is not? And more importantly, how do we discern which sources of knowledge are trustworthy and which ones are designed to deceive or mislead us? In this sense, the struggle for forbidden knowledge is not just a relic of the past. It is an ongoing battle that continues to play out in the present day. Just as in the days of the ancient world, those in power seek to control the narrative, to decide which ideas are worth considering and which ones should be silenced. The question is, will we continue to accept the official version of history and reality, or will we seek out the hidden truths that lie just beneath the surface? The search for forbidden knowledge is in many ways the search for freedom, of freedom to think, to explore, to question, and to know the truth. It is the recognition that the pursuit of knowledge is not just an intellectual exercise, but a deeply spiritual and transformative journey. And though the forces that seek to control knowledge may continue to act in the shadows, there will always be those who refuse to be silenced, those who will continue to search for the truths that others would prefer to remain hidden. As we continue to dig deeper into the hidden corners of history, we begin to notice a recurring pattern of silent war between those who seek to protect knowledge and those who wish to keep it hidden. This struggle is not merely a relic of the past. It is an ongoing battle, one that has stretched across centuries and shows no sign of slowing down. What's particularly striking, however, is that this battle is not just about information. It's about the very nature of reality itself, the suppressed knowledge, the forbidden books, the hidden truths. They all seem to be pointing towards something much larger than we can see with our ordinary perception. They suggest that there's a deeper reality lurking beneath the surface of our everyday existence, a reality that the majority of humanity remains blind to. This hidden world of esoteric wisdom, secret societies, and arcane knowledge could hold the key to a greater understanding of who we are and where we come from, perhaps one of the most intriguing aspects of this. Secret history is the notion of hidden civilizations, ancient societies that once flourished but were deliberately erased from the historical record from the advanced civilization of Atlantis, said to have been destroyed in a cataclysmic event, to the mysterious people of the Indus Valley, whose script remains undeciphered. There are numerous examples of lost cultures that seem to have been wiped from history's pages. These civilizations didn't just leave behind monuments or artifacts, they left behind ideas, philosophies, sciences, and spiritual practices that were far ahead of their time. And yet, as we uncover their remains, we are confronted with the eerie feeling that these ancient peoples knew something that we have forgotten. Take Atlantis, for example, this legendary civilization, which first appeared in the writings of the Greek philosopher Plato, has captivated imaginations for millennia. According to Plato, Atlantis was a highly advanced society with great knowledge of astronomy, architecture, and technology, but it was also a society that was morally corrupt, leading to its eventual destruction in a single day and night of catastrophic events. Atlantis, in Plato's account, was more than just a myth. It was a cautionary tale about the dangers of hubris and the loss of wisdom. But the question remains, did Atlantis really exist? And if it did, what was the source of its advanced knowledge? Was it purely the result of human ingenuity, or did the Atlanteans possess access to some otherworldly wisdom, perhaps passed down from even more ancient sources? The idea of Atlantis raises another important question. If such a civilization did exist, why did it disappear so suddenly and so completely? What happened to the knowledge they possessed? Why was it lost to time, only to resurface in fragments, as if pieces of an ancient puzzle scattered across the globe? There are many theories, some of which suggest that the Atlanteans were in contact with extraterrestrial beings who either gifted them with advanced knowledge or helped them build the technologies that led to their rise. Others propose that the Atlanteans had discovered hidden spiritual practices that allowed them to access higher planes of consciousness, unlocking mysteries of the universe that modern science is only beginning to understand. Whatever the truth, the story of Atlantis remains a symbol of both the fragility and the power of human knowledge. Then there is the mystery of the Indus Valley civilization, which flourished around 2500 BCE in what is now modern-day Pakistan and northwest India. Despite leaving behind highly advanced cities like Mohenjo-daro and Harappa, the people of the Indus Valley remain shrouded in mystery. Their writing system, composed of pictographs and symbols, has yet to be deciphered, and very little is known about their culture, religion, or language. What is clear, however, is that the Indus Valley civilization possessed remarkable knowledge of urban planning, water management, and metallurgy. Their cities were meticulously laid out with advanced drainage systems, and their craftsmen produced some of the finest jewelry and pottery of the ancient world. Yet, despite their advanced technologies, the civilization mysteriously collapsed around 1900 BCE, and its knowledge seems to have vanished along with it. Could this lost civilization have had access to knowledge that was too advanced for its time? And if so, what happened to that knowledge? The suppression of such knowledge, whether through the loss of entire civilizations or the intentional destruction of sacred texts, raises critical questions about the role of knowledge in shaping human progress. Why is it that certain cultures and ideas seem to be deliberately erased from the historical record? Is it because the information they contained was too dangerous for the powers that be? Or is it because the knowledge they possessed threatened the very foundation of the narrative that has been built around mainstream history? One possibility is that the information hidden within these lost civilizations and forgotten texts is simply too disruptive to the dominant worldview. Think about how the discovery of ancient knowledge, such as the rediscovery of the Sumerian tablets or the Nag Hammadi scrolls, shook the foundations of established religions and academic institutions. These discoveries didn't just offer new information, they offered a new lens through which to view the world. They challenged long-held beliefs about the origins of humanity, the nature of our existence, and the spiritual forces at play in the cosmos. Such Revelations had the potential to upend the status quo, questioning the authority of the religious, political, and academic institutions that had long controlled the flow of information. But perhaps even more alarming than the challenge to established institutions is the idea that this forbidden knowledge could offer humanity a glimpse into a future one that could either elevate us to a higher state of consciousness or conversely doom us to repeat the mistakes of our past. The texts and artifacts that have been hidden or lost may contain warnings, prophecies, or advanced wisdom that could help us avoid catastrophic events. Perhaps these ancient civilizations were aware of cycles of destruction and rebirth that we are only beginning to understand. Could the rise and fall of Atlantis, the sudden collapse of the Indus Valley, and the fall of other ancient cultures be part of a larger cyclical paterna, warning from the past about our own fate? In many ways, the suppression of knowledge is not just a historical phenomenon, it is a deeply political one. The control of information allows those in power to shape society, to dictate what people can believe, and to influence the way we view ourselves and our place in the world. By keeping certain knowledge hidden, whether through the destruction of texts or the erasure of entire civilizations, the powerful ensure that their version of history remains unchallenged. But the rise of alternative history, the discovery of suppressed manuscripts, and the growing interest in ancient mysteries show that this control over knowledge is slipping. The more we uncover, the more we realize how much has been concealed and how much there is still left to learn. As we approach the 21st century, we find ourselves at a critical juncture. The information age has given us unprecedented access to knowledge, but it has also opened the door to manipulation and misinformation. The battle over truth and knowledge is not just about ancient secrets, it's about how we choose to interpret the world we live in. Are we content to accept the official narrative, or will we continue to dig deeper, unearthing the secrets that have been buried for centuries? As we search for the hidden truths of our past, we must ask ourselves, what will we do with this knowledge? Once we find it, will we use it to build a better world, or will we allow it to be buried once more? As we delve deeper into the hidden chapters of human history, we uncover not only forgotten texts and lost civilizations, but also a shadowy web of secret societies, mysterious orders, and occult organizations. These groups, often shrouded in secrecy, have played a significant role in preserving, transmitting, and sometimes suppressing knowledge throughout history, from the ancient mystery schools of Egypt to the secretive orders of the Middle Ages. The pursuit of forbidden knowledge has often been inextricably linked to the inner circles of power. But what role have these secret societies truly played in shaping history? And more intriguingly, why have they chosen to conceal their teachings from the wider world? One of the most well-known and enigmatic of these groups is the Freemasons, whose origins trace back to the medieval stonemason guilds of Europe. The Freemasons have long been associated with a rich tradition of secrecy, ritual, and esoteric wisdom. They are often depicted in popular culture as guardians of hidden knowledge, protecting ancient secrets passed down through the ages. But what are these secrets, and why has the Freemason fraternity been so determined to keep them hidden from the public? The story of the Freemasons is as much about the preservation of knowledge as it is about the creation of a global network that operates beyond the reach of political and religious authorities. Freemasonry, with its intricate system of symbols, allegories, and secret rituals, is said to contain a wealth of esoteric knowledge that, if revealed to the masses, could potentially disrupt the established order of society. According to various theories, the Freemasons may possess access to ancient wisdom, including knowledge passed down from the ancient Egyptian Sumerians and even from the lost civilization of Atlantis. Some speculate that the Freemasons have long been custodians of the true teachings of the ancient mystery schools, guarding a body of knowledge that stretches back to the dawn of civilization. In particular, Freemasonry has been linked to the pursuit of alchemical and occult knowledge. Alchemy, the ancient art of transforming base metals into gold, and discovering the elixir of life was practiced by many of the great thinkers of the past. But alchemy was not simply about transmutation in the physical sense. It was at its core about the transformation of the self-alchemists. Believed that by mastering the secrets of nature, they could unlock hidden spiritual truths and achieve immortality through divine knowledge. The Freemasons, with their deep-rooted connection to the occult, have been said to possess alchemical teachings that date back to the days of Hermes Trismegistus, the mythical figure credited with founding the Hermetic tradition. But what is the true nature of these hidden teachings? Many believe that Freemasonry, along with other secret societies like the Rosicrucians, the Illuminati, and the Knights Templar, have long been engaged in a mission to unlock the mysteries of the universe. These groups, though often separated by time and geography, share a common thread of belief in the power of secret knowledge to transform both the individual and society. They're seen as the keepers of ancient wisdom with access to lost knowledge about the nature of reality, the cosmos, and the human soul. One of the most intriguing aspects of these secret societies is their connection to the ancient idea of the mystery schools, esoteric institutions that flourished in ancient Egypt, Greece, and other parts of the ancient world. These schools, such as the ones in Alexandria and Eleusis, were centers of learning that focused on spiritual initiation, personal transformation, and the transmission of sacred knowledge. Initiates were often taught profound metaphysical concepts, including the nature of the soul, the afterlife, and the mysteries of the divine. These teachings were considered too sacred and too powerful to be shared with the general population, and as such, they were passed down only to a select few who were deemed worthy of receiving them. The ancient mystery schools were not simply concerned with religious dogma, and were focused on understanding the deeper hidden truths of the universe. Their teachings were rooted in symbolism, allegory, and ritual, which were designed to awaken the higher faculties of the mind and spirit. Many of the core principles of Freemasonry and other secret societies can be traced back to these mystery schools. The use of sacred geometry, the veneration of certain symbols like the all-seeing eye, and the emphasis on personal transformation all have their roots in these ancient traditions. But if these secret societies possess such powerful knowledge, why do they keep it hidden? One theory is that they believe humanity is not ready for the truth, that the knowledge they hold is so powerful and potentially transformative that revealing it to the masses could result in chaos, confusion, or even destruction. This idea harkens back to the ancient belief that knowledge, particularly spiritual knowledge, is a double-edged sword. It can lead to enlightenment and liberation, but it can also bring about ruin if it falls into the wrong hands or is misused. By keeping certain teachings secret, these societies may be acting in the belief that they are safeguarding humanity from its own destructive tendencies. Another possible explanation for the secrecy of these societies is the idea of control. Throughout history, those in positions of power have understood the immense influence that knowledge can wield. By controlling access to knowledge, they can control the masses. This concept of knowledge as power has been used by governments, religious institutions, and secret societies alike to maintain dominance over society. The Freemasons, the Rosicrucians, the Illuminati, and others may have deliberately kept certain teachings hidden in order to maintain their own influence and authority. By positioning themselves as the sole keepers of ancient wisdom, they could ensure their place at the top of the social and political hierarchy. Yet despite the best efforts of these secretive organizations, the quest for forbidden knowledge has not been easily stifled over the centuries. Rebellious thinkers, occultists, and independent researchers have sought to uncover the secrets that these societies have tried to keep hidden. Figures like Helena Blavatsky, Aleister Crowley, and modern-day researchers into the mysteries of the ancient world have made it their lives' work to reveal the secrets of the esoteric tradition. Even though many of the ancient texts, rituals, and teachings have been obscured or distorted, the desire for hidden knowledge persists, and new revelations continue to surface. The search for forbidden knowledge is as much about personal transformation as it is about understanding the universe by uncovering the lost wisdom of the past individuals, may hope to gain insight into the deepest mysteries of existence, questions about the nature of consciousness, the afterlife, and our place in the cosmos. Secret societies may have kept their knowledge hidden to protect it, but the desire to reveal these truths has never ceased. This ongoing struggle between secrecy and revelation, control and liberation, continues to shape our understanding of history and our place within it. As we unearth the forbidden texts, ancient wisdom, and hidden knowledge of the past, we find ourselves facing not only the mysteries of the ancient world, but also the mysteries of our own consciousness. What if, in seeking to uncover these secrets, we are not simply looking backward but forward to a future where this ancient wisdom could finally transform humanity's understanding of itself? As we continue to peel back the layers of history, we come face to face with an unsettling question. What if the history we have been taught is only part of the story? What if the ancient civilizations we admire, the great thinkers we revere, and the sacred texts we trust all carry secrets that have been deliberately obscured from public view? It is not just the books that were banned, the manuscripts lost to time, or the knowledge suppressed by power. What if the very foundations of our understanding of history are based on incomplete, distorted, or hidden truths? One of the most intriguing aspects of this mystery is the concept of alternative history, the idea that there are hidden chapters of our past that mainstream academia refuses to acknowledge. This hidden history often deals with civilizations that were far more advanced than we are led to believe, with technologies, philosophies, and scientific knowledge that challenge our understanding of human progress. These civilizations didn't just exist, they thrived, leaving behind traces of their knowledge and culture in the form of mysterious structures, cryptic artifacts, and forgotten texts. Yet despite the evidence, these stories have been systematically erased, either due to ignorance, fear, or a deliberate desire to control the narrative of human history. Take, for example, the concept of lost advanced civilizations that existed long before the rise of the ancient Egyptians or the Mesopotamians. The idea that ancient humans may have developed technologies far beyond what we understand today has been a topic of speculation for centuries. Theories abound about a lost civilization, perhaps the mythical Atlantis, that possessed technologies so advanced that they could harness the power of the earth, communicate with the stars, and possibly even achieve immortality. The ancient texts, myths, and stories from cultures around the world seem to suggest that such a civilization might have existed, yet mainstream history dismisses these accounts as fanciful legends or allegorical tales. One of the most fascinating examples of this lost history is the enduring mystery of the Great Pyramids of Egypt. For centuries, scholars have debated the purpose, origin, and construction methods of these massive stone structures. The mainstream narrative claims that they were built as tombs for the pharaohs, constructed using primitive tools and labor. But when you look closer at the engineering marvel of the pyramids, something doesn't quite add up. The precision of the stonework, the alignment with the stars, and the sheer scale of the pyramids all suggest a level of knowledge and skill that seems to surpass the capabilities of the ancient Egyptians. How could a civilization that supposedly lacked advanced technology build such a monumental structure, one that remains a mystery to this day? This is where the theory of an advanced forgotten civilization comes into play. Some researchers suggest that the pyramids were not built by the Egyptians at all, but by an earlier civilization, one that was far more technologically advanced. These lost builders, who may have been wiped out by some catastrophic event, could have passed down their knowledge to the Egyptians, who in turn preserved it in the construction of the pyramids. According to this theory, the ancient Egyptians were not the originators of the pyramids, but rather their caretakers, guardians of a long-lost knowledge that had been passed down through generations. Then there are the countless other structures around the world that suggest a similar mystery, from the massive stone blocks of Machu Picchu in Peru to the intricate megalithic ruins of Stonehenge in England. There are countless examples of ancient monuments that defy easy explanation. How could these structures have been built with such precision, using only primitive tools? The alignment of these monuments with celestial bodies, such as the stars, the sun, and the moon, suggests that the builders possessed advanced knowledge of astronomy. This has led some to propose that these civilizations were not only far more advanced than we realize, but also in contact with extraterrestrial beings who may have shared their knowledge with the ancients or perhaps even guided their development. The idea of extraterrestrial influence on human civilization is one of the most controversial and tantalizing aspects of alternative history. According to ancient astronaut theory, advanced beings from other planets visited Earth in ancient times, sharing their wisdom and technology with early human cultures. These extraterrestrials could have been responsible for the sudden appearance of advanced knowledge in ancient civilizations, such as the Egyptians, Sumerians, and Mayans, all of which seem to have had sudden bursts of technological and intellectual development. The ancient texts from these civilizations, full of stories of gods descending from the heavens, might not be simple myths, but rather accounts of real encounters with otherworldly visitors. This theory is bolstered by the discovery of ancient artifacts that defy conventional explanations. For example, the ancient Sumerian texts mention the Anunnaki beings who came from the heavens and imparted knowledge to humanity. These gods are often depicted as towering figures with advanced technological abilities that would seem impossible for the time. Similarly, the Nazca lines in Peru, vast geoglyphs that can only be fully appreciated from the air, suggest a level of understanding of geometry and astronomy that is difficult to explain with the knowledge of the time. What is perhaps most fascinating about these alternative theories is not necessarily the content itself, but the fact that they challenge the accepted narrative of human history. If the mainstream story is true, then how do we explain these anomalies? How do we explain the fact that ancient civilizations, without any apparent reason, seem to develop advanced knowledge in fields such as mathematics, astronomy, and architecture knowledge that would only be rediscovered thousands of years later? How do we explain the mysterious artifacts and technologies that seem to defy the capabilities of the time? This is where the question of hidden knowledge becomes even more pressing. Could it be that ancient civilizations, far more advanced than we realize, passed down their knowledge to secret societies and organizations who have kept these secrets hidden for centuries? Could it be that the ancient wisdom of the past has been deliberately obscured, not out of malice, but because it is too dangerous for the world to know? And if so, why is the knowledge too powerful, too transformative, or too disruptive to the current global order? Or is there a deeper, more profound reason why these ancient secrets have been kept from us? The alternative history movement is about more than just uncovering lost civilizations or forbidden knowledge. It is about challenging the accepted understanding of human progress and questioning the assumptions we have about the past. It is about asking why certain pieces of history have been suppressed and whether there is a deeper hidden truth that has been deliberately concealed. And ultimately, it is about re-examining our place in the world and in the cosmos. If we were to embrace the possibility of a more complex, mysterious, and interconnected past, what would that mean for the future of humanity? Would we be able to rise to the challenge of rediscovering and integrating this ancient wisdom? Or would we continue to cling to a version of history that is incomplete, distorted, and perhaps ultimately out of step with the true nature of reality? The pursuit of forbidden knowledge is not just a quest for ancient secrets or lost civilizations. It is also an exploration of the spiritual, metaphysical, and esoteric dimensions that lie beyond the physical world, while historians and archaeologists focus on uncovering the material remnants of the past. There is another dimension of history, one that is intangible, mystical, and elusive. This is the realm of esoteric knowledge, a body of teachings that has been passed down through secretive traditions and hidden societies for centuries. But what exactly is esoteric knowledge, And why has it been kept hidden from the general public? Esoteric knowledge, by its very nature, is not meant to be understood by everyone. It is reserved for those who have undergone certain initiations, those who possess the inner vision or spiritual maturity to comprehend its deeper truths, unlike exoteric teachings, which are intended for the masses and are often based on straightforward, publicly accessible doctrines. Esoteric teachings delve into the mysteries of the universe, the nature of the soul, and the hidden forces that govern reality. These teachings are often passed down in the form of symbols, allegories, and rituals, ways of encoding deeper meanings that are accessible only to the initiated. One of the key elements of esoteric knowledge is the belief in an underlying unity between all things. This unity is often described in terms of a divine or cosmic order of force that connects all of creation. Many esoteric traditions teach that humans, like all living beings, are part of this cosmic order, and that the ultimate goal of life is to understand one's place within it. This journey toward enlightenment or self-realization is not just a personal pursuit. It is seen as a universal process that aligns the individual with the divine, bringing them into harmony with the greater forces of the universe. But how has this knowledge been transmitted, and who has been responsible for safeguarding it throughout history? The answer lies in the secret societies and mystical traditions that have persisted through the ages, from the ancient mystery schools of Egypt and Greece to the more modern secret orders, such as the Freemasons, Rosicrucians, and Illuminati. These societies have long claimed to be the keepers of esoteric wisdom. They view themselves as the inheritors of an ancient sacred tradition, a tradition that stretches back to the dawn of civilization. One of the most powerful examples of esoteric knowledge is the concept of sacred geometry, a branch of mathematics that deals with the spiritual significance of shapes, patterns, and proportions. Sacred geometry is based on the belief that the universe is organized according to a divine blueprint, an underlying structure that can be found in the design of everything from the smallest atom to the largest galaxy. Many of the great works of art, architecture, and even nature itself are said to embody the principles of sacred geometry. The pyramids of Egypt, the cathedrals of medieval Europe, and the paintings of the Renaissance all contain elements of sacred geometry, each representing a connection between the earthly and the divine. The ancient Greeks, in particular, were fascinated by sacred geometry, with thinkers like Pythagoras and Plato exploring its relationship to the cosmos. For Pythagoras, numbers were the key to understanding the divine order of the universe. He believed that the world was built on a foundation of mathematical harmony, and that by understanding this harmony one could unlock the secrets of the cosmos. Plato, too, saw geometry as a path to higher knowledge, and he believed that the material world was an imperfect reflection of a perfect divine realm of forms. According to Plato, the study of geometry allowed the mind to glimpse these higher realities, and through this achieve a deeper understanding of the nature of existence. The role of sacred geometry in esoteric traditions is also closely tied to the concept of initiation. In many secret societies, initiates are gradually introduced to more complex and profound teachings, with sacred geometry often serving as a key component of their spiritual training. The idea is that the study of these divine patterns helps the initiate to align their consciousness with the greater forces of the universe, bringing them closer to the ultimate truth. But sacred geometry is not the only aspect of esoteric knowledge that has been hidden from the public. Another key concept that has been passed down through secret societies is the idea of the inner or higher self. This is the belief that each person has an aspect of their being that is connected to the divine inner essence that transcends the limitations of the physical body and the ego. According to esoteric teachings, the goal of human life is to awaken this higher self, to transcend the mundane concerns of the material world, and to experience a direct connection with the divine. This concept is often linked to the idea of spiritual alchemy, a form of inner transformation that seeks to turn base material, the ego, into gold. The enlightened self-alchemists throughout history have claimed to have discovered the secret to this transformation, and many esoteric traditions incorporate elements of alchemical symbolism and ritual. The famous alchemical process of turning lead into gold is not only a metaphor for the transmutation of physical substances, but also for the spiritual evolution of the individual. It is about purifying the soul, removing impurities, and elevating one's consciousness to higher levels of understanding. Another fascinating aspect of esoteric knowledge is the concept of theurgic practice of invoking divine forces to bring about spiritual illumination and personal transformation. Theurgy, which was practiced in the ancient world by philosophers and mystics, such as Plotinus and Iamblichus, involves ritual practices designed to align the soul with the divine. These rituals often include the use of sacred symbols, prayers, and invocations to invoke higher beings or forces that can help guide the initiate towards spiritual awakening. But perhaps one of the most compelling aspects of esoteric knowledge is its connection to the idea of hidden or suppressed truths that, if revealed, could fundamentally alter our understanding of reality. Many esoteric traditions teach that the material world is not all there is, and that there are hidden realms of existence that are beyond the reach of ordinary perception. These realms are said to contain profound knowledge and wisdom that can only be accessed by those who have undergone the necessary spiritual training. In this sense, esoteric knowledge is not just about understanding the past, it is also about unlocking the hidden dimensions of reality and tapping into a deeper understanding of the universe. The question then is why this knowledge has been kept hidden. One theory is that it has been deliberately suppressed by those in power, whether by religious institutions, political authorities, or secret societies themselves, in order to maintain control over the masses. The possession of esoteric knowledge has always been a source of power, and those who have guarded it may have done so to prevent its widespread dissemination. After all, if the masses were to understand the true nature of reality and their own divine potential, it could disrupt the established social order. But as we continue to uncover hidden manuscripts, secret texts, and forgotten teachings, we begin to realize that this knowledge is not entirely lost. It has been preserved, passed down through generations, and now more than ever it is becoming accessible to those who seek it, whether through the revival of ancient mystery schools, the rediscovery of long-forgotten texts, or the modern exploration of spiritual practices. The veil of secrecy is slowly being lifted. The question remains, what will we do with this knowledge? Once we have uncovered it, will we be ready to embrace the hidden truths of our existence? Or will we shy away from the responsibility that comes with knowing the deeper mysteries of life? In the end, the pursuit of esoteric knowledge is not just about uncovering ancient secrets or hidden truths. It is about unlocking the potential of the human spirit, expanding our understanding of the universe, and coming into alignment with the divine forces that shape our reality. It is a journey that has been taken by mystics, philosophers, and secret societies throughout history, and now it is a journey that beckons us all. As we delve deeper into the realm of forbidden knowledge and secret histories, it becomes increasingly apparent that the true power of history lies not just in the events that have been documented, but in the vast untold stories that lie just beyond the reach of mainstream historical narratives. These stories, often considered too strange, too controversial, or too dangerous for the general public, are those that have been deliberately hidden, altered, or erased. And at the heart of this hidden history lies one of the most fascinating and elusive topics of all, the idea of prophetic texts and the mysteries they contain. Prophecy, both in religious and secular contexts, has always held a deep and enigmatic allure. Whether it's the ancient prophecies of the Maya, the cryptic visions of Nostradamus, or the biblical predictions found in the book of Revelation, humanity has long been captivated by the idea that hidden knowledge exists that can reveal the future. But what if the prophecies we are familiar with are only the surface of a much larger, more complex web of predictions, prophecies that have been suppressed, erased, or obscured over time? One of the most profound examples of hidden prophecy comes from the lost books of the Bible text that were once included in the Christian canon, but were later excluded or hidden from the public. These texts, often referred to as the Apocrypha or deuterocanonical books, contain teachings, stories, and prophecies that were deliberately omitted from the official version of the Bible. The reasons for this exclusion remain unclear, but it is widely believed that the texts were suppressed because they contained teachings that were considered too controversial or politically dangerous at the time. Among these lost texts are several books that contain prophecies of a world-changing nature. One such text is the Book of Enoch, an ancient Jewish work that details the journeys of the patriarch Enoch into the heavens, where he learns the secrets of the universe from the divine beings known as the Watchers. In this text, Enoch is shown visions of the future, including the coming of a great flood, the final judgment, and the rise of a messianic figure who will restore balance to the world. The Book of Enoch also introduces the concept of the fallen angels, beings who descended to earth and taught humanity forbidden knowledge, including the arts of magic, astrology, and warfare. This idea of celestial beings imparting forbidden wisdom to humanity mirrors many other ancient traditions and prophecies found throughout history. Another lost prophetic text is the Book of the Sibyls, a collection of oracles attributed to a series of female prophets. In the ancient world, the Sibyls were believed to possess the ability to see into the future and to predict the fate of nations and empires. Their prophecies were often recorded on tablets and preserved in temples, and they were consulted by kings and leaders in times of crisis. What is most striking about the Sibylline prophecies is their consistency with later prophetic traditions, such as those found in the Bible and other sacred texts. The Sibyls foresaw the rise and fall of empires, the coming of a divine figure, and the ultimate destruction of the world. Yet, like many other prophetic texts, their writings were gradually suppressed and eventually lost, perhaps due to their perceived danger to the established order. The suppression of prophetic texts and knowledge is not limited to religious or spiritual matters. It extends to the political and social realms as well. Throughout history, there have been numerous instances where prophetic writings or predictions have been deliberately hidden or destroyed because they were seen as a threat to the status quo. In ancient Rome, for example, the Emperor Augustus is said to have ordered the destruction of certain prophetic texts that foretold the downfall of the Roman Empire. Similarly, during the medieval period, many prophetic works that foretold the end of the papacy or the rise of new religious movements were systematically erased from the historical record. Perhaps one of the most significant and mysterious examples of hidden prophecy is found in the prophecies of the popes, a series of predictions attributed to Saint Malachy, a 12th century Irish archbishop. According to the legend, Saint Malachy had a vision of the future papacy in which he saw a series of 112 popes who would rule the Catholic Church until the end of time. Each pope was assigned a cryptic Latin motto that described key aspects of their reign. The final pope, according to the prophecy, would be a figure known as Peter the Roman, who would preside over the final tribulations of the Church before the coming of the Antichrist and the end of the world. The prophecies of the popes have long been a subject of fascination and speculation, particularly during times of political upheaval or religious crisis. Some believe that the prophecies are a genuine prediction of future events, while others see them as a clever construct designed to offer comfort or warning to believers regardless of their origin. The prophecies of the popes have had a lasting impact on the Catholic Church and have been linked to numerous historical events, including the papacy of Pope John Paul II, the rise of the Vatican as a global power, and the modern-day struggles of the Catholic Church. But perhaps one of the most intriguing aspects of these prophetic traditions is the idea that prophecy is not simply about predicting the future, it is about shaping the future. In many esoteric and mystical traditions, prophecy is seen as a tool for manifesting desired outcomes or for warning humanity of impending dangers. The act of foretelling the future, in this view, is not passive, but active. As a way of influencing the course of history and guiding humanity toward a particular destiny. In this sense, prophecies are not merely forewarnings, they are instruments of power capable of shaping the future. If used correctly, the connection between prophecy and power is further emphasized by the role of secret societies and hidden organizations in the preservation and dissemination of prophetic knowledge. Throughout history, secret societies have claimed to possess ancient wisdom, including the ability to interpret and manipulate prophetic visions. Whether through the use of astrology, alchemy, or other mystical practices, these societies believe that they could use prophecy as a tool for political, spiritual, or social change. From the ancient mystery schools of Egypt to the more modern orders, such as the Freemason secret societies, have long understood the power of hidden knowledge, especially when it comes to predicting and influencing the future. This raises an important question: why is the knowledge of prophecy so often hidden or suppressed? What makes it so dangerous that it must be kept from the public? One possible answer lies in the very power of prophecy itself. If the masses were to gain access to the prophetic traditions of the past, they might be able to harness that power for their own purposes, disrupting the established order and changing the course of history. Whether through religious movements, political revolutions, or social upheavals, the revelations contained in prophetic texts have the potential to shake the foundations of society. In many cases, those in power have sought to keep this knowledge hidden to maintain control and prevent any disruption to the status quo. Yet as we continue to uncover the secrets of the past, we see that the mysteries of prophecy and the hidden knowledge of the ancients are not so easily erased. Whether through the rediscovery of lost texts, the revival of ancient traditions, or the rise of modern spiritual movements, prophecy remains an enduring and powerful force in human history. And as we move deeper into the unknown, the question remains: are we ready to face the truths that these prophetic writings may reveal? Are we prepared to unlock the secrets of the future, and in doing so change the course of our destiny? Throughout history, there have been certain artifacts, objects, and manuscripts that have carried with them an air of mystery and intrigue, objects whose true purpose or origin remains unknown and whose significance is shrouded in enigma. These items, often considered to be relics of lost civilizations or hidden knowledge, have been the subject of fascination and speculation for centuries. From ancient scrolls to forbidden books, from sacred relics to powerful talismans, these objects hold the key to unraveling some of the deepest mysteries of human history. But what makes them so powerful? Why have they been hidden or suppressed? And what secrets do they hold? One of the most iconic examples of such an artifact is the Voynich manuscript, a medieval book that has baffled scholars, cryptographers, and historians. Since it was first discovered in the early 20th century, the manuscript is written in an unknown script, and its illustrations depict strange plants, animals, and astronomical symbols that seem to defy any logical explanation. Despite decades of attempts to decode the text, no one has been able to determine its meaning or origin. Some believe that the Voynich manuscript is a coded book of alchemy containing ancient knowledge that was deliberately concealed to prevent it from falling into the wrong hands. Others suggest that it may be the work of a mysterious group or individual with esoteric knowledge, someone who deliberately created the manuscript to preserve secret teachings. Equally mysterious is the Sumerian tablet of destinies, a piece of ancient Mesopotamian lore that is said to hold the key to controlling the forces of fate itself. This artifact, described in Sumerian myths, was believed to be a powerful object that could grant its possessor control over the gods and the universe. According to legend, the tablet was created by the gods themselves and contained secret knowledge about the creation of the world and the destinies of all living beings. It was said to be so powerful that it could alter the course of history and shape the future of nations. But just like many other artifacts of great power, the Tablet of Destinies was lost to time, its location unknown, and its secrets locked away forever. At least for now, another artifact that has captivated the imagination of researchers and seekers alike is the Ark of the Covenant, described in the Bible as a sacred container that held the stone tablets of the Ten Commandments, the Ark has been a subject of mystery and legend for centuries. According to biblical accounts, the Ark was so powerful that it could strike down entire armies and perform miraculous feats. Its divine powers were said to be contained within the golden box, which was carefully guarded by the Israelites. But the fate of the Ark has remained elusive. Some believe it was hidden away in a secret location, while others suggest that it was taken to Ethiopia or lost during the destruction of Jerusalem. The idea that a physical object could hold such immense power has long been a source of fascination in esoteric and mystical traditions. Many ancient cultures believed that certain objects could serve as conduits to divine or supernatural forces, whether through their construction, their materials, or the rituals associated with them. These objects were often seen as keys to accessing hidden knowledge, to unlocking the mysteries of the universe, and to achieving spiritual enlightenment or worldly power. The very concept of sacred or magical objects was central to the beliefs of ancient civilizations, from Egypt to Greece and from Mesopotamia to the Americas. One of the most famous of these objects is the Philosopher's Stone, a mythical substance that was said to possess the ability to turn base metals into gold and grant immortality. The stone was closely associated with the practices of alchemy, a medieval precursor to modern chemistry, and was believed to hold the key to achieving the great work, the spiritual and material transformation of the alchemist. The Philosopher's Stone became the ultimate goal of alchemists who spent their lives attempting to unlock its secrets. Yet despite countless attempts, the stone remained elusive, its true nature and properties a mystery that continues to intrigue scholars and mystics alike. Similarly, the Holy Grail, the legendary cup said to have been used by Jesus at the Last Supper, has been the subject of countless stories, myths, and quests. The Grail is often depicted as a symbol of divine knowledge and spiritual purity, and many believe that it holds the secret to eternal life or enlightenment. The search for the Grail has inspired numerous legends, from the tales of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table to the more modern accounts of treasure hunters and conspiratorial theories. Some suggest that the Grail may be a metaphor for spiritual enlightenment, while others believe it to be a literal physical object with untold powers. The Grail's true nature, however, remains a mystery, with its whereabouts lost to time and history. But the power of these artifacts lies not only in their ability to grant material wealth or supernatural abilities, they also serve as symbols of the hidden knowledge and wisdom that have been passed down through secret traditions. These objects often function as keys to unlocking deeper truths about the nature of reality, the divine, and the human soul. They are the physical representations of ancient knowledge that has been carefully guarded and passed down through esoteric schools, mystery religions, and secret societies. These societies, with their initiation rituals and hidden teachings, have long sought to preserve the sacred wisdom contained within these objects, protecting them from those who might misuse their power. One of the most famous secret societies associated with the guardianship of hidden knowledge is the Freemasons. This fraternal organization, which traces its origins back to medieval stonemasons guilds, has long been linked to the preservation of esoteric wisdom and the guarding of ancient secrets. Freemasonry is built on a foundation of symbols, rituals, and allegories, many of which are said to be based on ancient teachings that predate recorded history. The Freemasons have long claimed to possess knowledge that has been passed down from the builders of the great ancient monuments, including the pyramids of Giza and the Temple of Solomon. This knowledge, it is believed, includes the secrets of sacred geometry, alchemy, and the use of powerful symbols and artifacts to connect with divine forces. Another secret of organization that is closely associated with the guardianship of hidden knowledge is the Rosicrucians. This mystical group, which emerged in the early 17th century, is believed to possess ancient esoteric teachings that trace back to the Egyptian mystery schools. The Rosicrucians are said to hold the key to spiritual enlightenment and the transformation of the human soul. Like the Freemasons, they are said to possess sacred symbols and artifacts that are used in their rituals, and they have long been associated with the search for hidden wisdom. In modern times, the interest in these artifacts and secret knowledge has only grown as society becomes more interconnected and information becomes more accessible. There is a renewed interest in uncovering these long-lost treasures, from the discovery of ancient scrolls in the caves of the Dead Sea to the search for the Holy Grail. Researchers, historians, and treasure hunters continue to pursue these elusive artifacts in the hope of unlocking the mysteries of the past. Yet the question remains: what is the true purpose of these artifacts? Are they simply relics of a forgotten age, or do they hold the key to a greater understanding of our place in the universe? As we continue to uncover hidden knowledge and explore the secrets of these ancient objects, one thing becomes clear: the pursuit of these artifacts is not just a search for material wealth or power. It is a journey toward unlocking the deepest mysteries of existence itself. The 20th century was an age of progress, invention, and illumination, but beneath its electric glow, another war was quietly being fought. It was not a war for land or oil, nor for flags and ideologies, but for the soul of knowledge itself. While the world celebrated the age of science and reason, in the shadows, governments, secret societies, and intelligence agencies began collecting, hiding, and sometimes destroying the very kinds of books and manuscripts that once drew the wrath of medieval inquisitors. The forbidden book did not die in the fire. It merely changed its disguise. As Europe descended into the turmoil of the world wars, the hunger for hidden knowledge grew into an obsession. The Nazi regime, particularly through figures like Heinrich Himmler and the Annenberg Organization, sought to recover lost wisdom that could grant power, spiritual or otherwise, to the Third Reich. Expeditions to Tibet, the Middle East, and even Antarctica were not merely acts of curiosity. They were missions to locate the rumored remnants of ancient civilizations and a mystical text said to contain the keys to Aryan origins. Himmler's personal library at Wilsberg Castle, lined with esoteric volumes, became a shrine to the occult, a place where myth and power met. Some of these books were ancient grimoires, others Renaissance treatises on alchemy and runic magic. Many vanished at the war's end, spirited away by both the Allies and the Soviets, their contents absorbed into classified archives. The war on forbidden books had gone underground. While Europe smoldered, the Vatican quietly expanded its own collection. Beneath the marble floors of its palaces, the secret archives grew deeper. Historians whisper that crates of confiscated manuscripts, seized from Nazi, Masonic, and occult sources, were hidden there. The Church, fearful of heresy's return in modern form, locked away any text that blurred the boundary between faith and forbidden knowledge. Yet paradoxically, these archives also preserved what they forbade. In dim chambers beneath the Holy See, the same spirit of the old Index Librorum Prohibitorum survived, now wearing the robes of scholarly protection. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, the United States entered its own age of secrecy. Operation Paperclip brought German scientists and their libraries into American laboratories. Within the corridors of intelligence agencies, occult research that once belonged to the Annenberg was quietly reclassified as psychological experimentation or mind control. Projects like MKUltra would later echo the same esoteric principles found in Hermetic and alchemical writings. The transformation of consciousness, the shaping of will, and the control of human perception. The occult language was scrubbed away, replaced with the sterile lexicon of science. Yet the essence remained, the age-old desire to wield hidden knowledge as a weapon. The Soviet Union, too, pursued its own arcane studies behind the Iron Curtain. From psychic research to geomagnetic experiments, Soviet scientists often drew upon sources officially dismissed as superstition. In secret, banned books from the pre-revolutionary era, texts on theosophy, Kabbalah, and magic, circulated among intellectuals. The communist state may have publicly condemned mysticism, but its security agencies quietly harvested any scrap of data that might confer an advantage. In this cold war of minds, every hidden text became a potential instrument of power. As the century advanced, censorship evolved. No longer did inquisitors burn manuscripts in town squares. Now, suppression took subtler forms: quiet confiscations, reclassifications, and erasures. In fascist and communist regimes alike, entire libraries were purged of counter-revolutionary or degenerate literature. Thousands of volumes disappeared, some destroyed, others sealed in government vaults. Yet, as always, a few escaped, smuggled through underground networks, copied by hand, or encoded into art and fiction. Every forbidden book birthed its own mythology, and the act of reading became an act of rebellion. By the 1960s, the counterculture revived the forbidden library once more. Occult publishers reprinted works long suppressed: Blavatsky's Secret Doctrine, Crowley's Magic, the Gnostic Gospels, and they found eager readers among those searching for meaning in a mechanized world. Yet even here, suppression lingered. Governments monitored esoteric circles, fearing they might harbor radical politics or foreign influence. The FBI and MI5 opened files on mystics and visionaries, treating the pursuit of hidden wisdom as a potential threat. The irony was perfect. Centuries after the Church had condemned heresy, the modern state inherited its role. At the same time, the academic world, bound by its own orthodoxy, dismissed anything that did not fit its rational framework. Manuscripts hinting at lost civilizations or advanced ancient knowledge were quietly shelved or ridiculed. The forbidden book of the 20th century no longer had to be burned, it only had to be ignored. Marginalization replaced fire as the new tool of censorship. To call something pseudo-history or conspiracy was the modern equivalent of branding it heretical. And yet, despite all efforts to bury the past, fragments continue to surface. After the fall of the Berlin Wall, declassified Soviet documents revealed references to psychotronic and parapsychological research. In the 1990s, private collectors uncovered crates of Nazi occult materials hidden in Austrian monasteries. Even the Vatican, under pressure from scholars, began cautiously digitizing portions of its archives, revealing tantalizing hints of texts long thought lost. The 20th century ended much as it began, with the world standing at the threshold of knowledge it still feared to confront. The war on hidden knowledge did not extinguish the flame. It only scattered its embers. From the rubble of bombed libraries to the encrypted data of intelligence networks, the same question remains: who decides what humanity is allowed to know? The 20th century proved that forbidden books are not relics of the past. They are warnings for the future. Every age has its heresies. Every empire, its censors. And still, in quiet rooms and secret archives, the forbidden words wait, patient as stone, eternal as the fire that once sought to destroy them. In the digital age, the forbidden book has become data, hidden not by fire, but by algorithms. What was once burned in public squares is now buried beneath filters, deletions, and quiet bans. Knowledge once carved into stone now exists in clouds, vulnerable to erasure with a keystroke. The new censors are invisible: corporations, codes, and endless noise. Yet whispers persist in encrypted forums, anonymous archives, and scattered backups. The struggle between revelation and control continues, reshaped for the information age. The Forbidden Library has gone online, waiting for those still brave enough to search beyond the algorithm. The fires have long gone out, yet the smoke of forgotten words still drifts through time. Every burned library, every censored text, becomes part of a greater silence that humanity must learn to hear. The Forbidden Book was never just parchment and ink. It was the voice of curiosity itself. Though pages turn to ash, Their essence endures in art, symbols, and dreams. What was once hidden in vaults now lives within those who seek. You can burn the book, but not the idea. Truth waits, quietly, between the ashes and echoes of everything we've tried to forget.